So 10 years ago, we made an observation, not only in our unit, but in units across the country. And that was that children were heavily sedated and not really getting out of bed earlier in their critical illness. And we thought to ourselves, well, if exercise and good sleep are important to a healthy child at home, why is that any different here in the hospital? And that's how PICU Up was born. So a group of about 10 of us, one from every discipline, got together in a room for approximately a year, once a week, and talked about how we wanted to start to change culture. And that culture meant optimizing sleep, minimizing but making effective sedation for our patients, minimizing and preventing delirium, and creating a multi-professional team model of approaching that. And we are so excited to see what has evolved over the last 10 years. I have to say that PICU Up has been probably the most important initiative that I've ever been a part of and will continue to be a part of for the rest of my career.
It is a multidisciplinary approach to getting our children and families up and moving and getting them back to doing all the things that they were doing before coming to the hospital.
It's pushed us out of our comfort zone and really encouraged us to question our norms. But as a result of that, we've seen incredible improvements in the inpatient experience for our patients.
We get to work together as a multidisciplinary team. So in a hospital, we always strive for that. But in the ICU, it's so important that we work together because of the fact that it's such an acute environment.
We each have our own roles in supporting the medical, physical, or emotional health of a patient while working closely together to help them reach their mobility goals.
Being one of the respiratory therapists that is a part of the PICU Up team means that I'm able to get involved a little bit more than what my everyday job requires.
The PICU Up program has evolved to include many other aspects that can help achieve the goal of minimizing sequelae and increasing functional outcome.
Even our intubated patients were able to help get in the door, help parents communicate with their loved ones, and also help the patient communicate their wants, their needs, or even simple things like saying I love you to their family members.
So much in the pediatric intensive care unit, we're focused on just making sure that a child is able to go home with their family. But for PICU Up, what it means is that we're focused on getting a child home with their family and able to do everything that they were able to do before they came to the ICU.
Patients and families come in and they know that the expectation at our unit is that their child is going to have a good night's sleep, that they are going to mobilize as early as possible so that they have the best chance of survivorship.
When I started in the PICU, we were in an open unit where there was no sleeping spaces and parents really weren't allowed to stay 24/7. And now we have individual rooms and dedicated sleep spaces and intentional integration on rounds.
The PICU Up program for patients allows them to be able to adjust to life in the ICU and helps them work towards and gives them a jump start towards their post-ICU journey and their recovery once they leave our institution.
We're really trying to give families and patients control where we can. What kind of education does that family need? What are those little wins that they can have with their child to be able to work a little bit more closely?
Creating an environment that encourages, to the degree that we can, movement and play for the child helps normalize the environment for both the child and the family.
I also feel that it creates a universal language for our staff, which then ultimately helps these patients by us all using kind of the same language, same talk of what our goals are daily for these patients.
I believe that PICU Up means a healthier and more positive healing experience during their time in the ICU, and our patients are able to build confidence in reaching their goals.
It is really awesome to see the transformation of parents being a little bit hesitant or feeling vulnerable in the beginning, where down the road, when I walk in the room and then a parent says, I already got my kid up in a chair, and seeing how excited they are. It's really an opportunity for families to see their children as children rather than as critically ill patients.
The idea that he could be in the hospital for as long as he was, but recovered as well as he did when he came home the first time, and then the second time when he came home, you would have never known that something was wrong with him. Almost immediately, he was back to normal.
I'm not sure that Beckett would be where he is today as this rambunctious 3-year-old if all these steps weren't taken.
we started getting all sorts of attention from across the globe. We want to implement PICU Up. We want to make this change in our paradigm shift of our care in our own hospitals. So we decided that we wanted to do that systematically. And it was important to us to understand if it was feasible to implement PICU Up in the same way that we did it at the Johns Hopkins Children's Center at other centers. So after a multi-center pilot study, which showed that it was safe and feasible to do so, we are now conducting an NIH-funded clinical trial to study the effectiveness and outcomes of PICU Up. Since this time, PICU Up has been adapted at 200 hospitals across the globe and has been implemented directly nationally in over 25 children's hospitals.